Good morning, everyone, and welcome to another episode of A Case for Travel Tuesdays. I'm excited to have Sahara Rose DeVore with me this morning. She is a wellness coach and consultant and the founder of the Travel Coach Network, and she is from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. So welcome, Sahara Rose.
Hi, Charlotte. Thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome. I'm happy to be here, happy to have you on. I've been looking forward to this day. I think we'll have a really good conversation today.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah. So you help people use travel as a way to improve their mental health and overall well-being after the negative impacts of COVID. How do you do this?
Yeah, I mean, travel is something that we've all turned to in our life for some reason, whether it's to heal, to feel, to celebrate, to connect, maybe it was something devastating in our life and we needed an escape. There's so many reasons why we value travel, and it wasn't always highlighted when we talked about going on a trip. Sometimes we just like to fluff it with the pretty picture of we just need a vacation to relax on the beach and sip a pina colada, even though that sounds amazing, especially right now. There's a lot of deeper reasons why people traveled. And despite all the terrible things that COVID did to the world in general, as well as different industries, including the travel and hospitality industries, there are some shining lights in the industry as well. And one of those is that it shot wellness to the forefront across all industries, especially the tourism and hospitality industries. So something that you'll hear a lot about in conversations there's still a lot of uncertainties around the travel industry, but pieces of conversations that are happening now, you'll hear some sort of relevance to well-being. So whether that's well-being of employees in the workplace, whether that's for business travel, which you'll hear me talk about, I specialize more in corporate wellness and business travel, remote workers, well-being for tourism and how they're going to attract tourists. So a lot of that type of conversation is being had. So that's where I fit in. I'm more of the educational piece to the wellness benefits of travel. That's always been my passion as a global backpacker to over 84 countries myself. I turned to travel years ago to heal, to cope with my anxiety, and to find my purpose in life. And I shine a light on helping people bring their true purpose for travel to the forefront. And that helps tourism organizations, destinations, hotels, airlines on attracting the right type of people to certain type of experiences. So that's really an overall of what I do, and really providing the educational piece. There's tons of research. There's decades and decades of quality research done on the mental, physical, physiological health benefits of travel, as well as now you hear more about the spiritual and emotional benefits of travel as well. These are all things that we are just itching and craving for because we've all been locked up in some sort for the past over a year now. And we are really struggling in many ways. And we're not all avid travelers, but travel is something that we naturally turn to help us get through different situations. And my mission is to help people get to the root of what that is, to help companies, organizations really thrive.
Yes, exactly. And I find that interesting. You work kind of a different way, like you said, with working with businesses, and it almost sounds like you help them attract the right clients rather than clients attracting to, or travelers attracting to different destinations and businesses. So that's interesting.
Yeah, there's a lot of tourism boards in general, and destinations, hotels, resorts are realizing the importance of utilizing their location, their natural resources. There's a lot of studies as well that have been conducted during 2020 and now that have been released talking about what people are really looking for in the future of travel. And natural resources are at the top of that list across various generations. So things like hot springs, being in nature, hiking, bodies of water, natural saunas, as well as cultural experiences that also focus on the wellness side. So maybe more Eastern medicines, traditions, there's so much more to wellness tourism than spas. And the industry was built on the spa industry, but there's glimpse of hope showing that there's more to wellness travel than just spas, especially when it comes to hotels and resorts. So that's the buzz that is going around now, and that's why I'm really excited for what I do.
Oh, cool. I know with me, the wellness, even just hiking, I love hiking, getting out in nature. That's huge for me. That's huge. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm an Aquarius, so I'm always attracted to bodies of water. It's also very calming for me, but there's a lot of studies that show the salty sea air can naturally ease your anxiety and your stress levels. Feeling the sand beneath your toes activates all your senses. There's a lot and I think we all know this as travelers, when we get to the beach, that's why we crave to go back for more. But I love going to bodies of water, whether it's a beach, a beautiful lake, all around the world.
That's fun. I'm a Pisces, so maybe that's why I really enjoy the sound of the ocean and everything too.
Yeah,
so
that's
I
fantastic.
never put that together before, the water signs, right? Now, you had mentioned the corporate side, so you help companies improve their corporate wellness and business travel programs through your Thrive Through Travel initiative. So tell us how that works.
Yeah, that kind of just piggybacks off of my framework that I created is called the Travel Coach Approach, which you can find on my website, the Travel Coach Network. But I looked at the really key elements of what I believed in the power of travel, as well as what research shows. So things like wellness, human connection, powerful storytelling, the mindset of a traveler, hyper personalization. What does that really mean? Personalize or tailor an experience for somebody's personal needs, wants, goals, struggles. And I built the Thrive Through Travel initiative off of my framework, because we all can thrive through travel in such personal, unique ways, whether that's for our well-being, our personal life, our relationships, and then also our professional life too. There's a lot of studies that show the benefits of business travel, as well as traveling to spark creativity, innovation, build connections, relationships. That's why the business travel industry is really fighting hard to get their road warriors, their business travelers back on the road, because the face-to-face, the in-person in a safe manner has been proven to be a lot more effective than the virtual over the computer.
It is. It's a completely different way to build relationships. You make the connections much easier. And in October, I'm supposed to be going to Jamaica, fingers crossed, with a travel agent mastermind group that I have, and then also with my host agency. Our annual conference is supposed to be there, so we're tying them together, and I just can't wait to get back with people in the industry and network with the like-minded people. I'm so excited about it, and here's hoping it all goes through. So it's looking promising.
Yeah, oh, it definitely is. I've always been very hopeful in the travel industry. We turn to travel not only for our personal well-being and for business, but also so many destinations around the world depend on tourism for their GDP and their ways of living as well. So it's really essential in all aspects. It's just a matter of time and figuring out when that's going to be.
Yeah, exactly. And we're getting there. We will get there.
Yeah.
So you had mentioned too, you've been to 84 countries. I think that's incredible. You spent a decade traveling the globe after you graduated and received your BA in hospitality and tourism. So how have those extensive travels affected and impacted your life?
Oh, how have they not? I've always said that travel has been my greatest professor. I studied hospitality and tourism management in university. And when I graduated, I was very underwhelmed with the lack of career options that I had to use my degree. I knew what existed, and I knew what society's pressures were, family pressures of getting a good job, climbing the corporate ladder. And people kept telling me, just find a job that pays you to travel. But little side note, I how I was able to make and save so much money is I lived in Chicago and I worked in the restaurant industry. I mean, I worked various jobs, 5 jobs at once to
Wow.
stay in college and to save money. I eventually just was lucrative enough in the restaurant industry. But I met a lot of business travelers and tourists because Chicago is a hotspot
Yeah.
for that. And I was really hearing a lot of their perspective, especially from the business traveler side, and they weren't able to really get to do anything, see anything, explore any places. So I knew that wasn't really going to align with what I was looking for. So yes, I decided to take a very unconventional route after graduating. I packed a bag, bought a one-way ticket to Ireland, and I set off to go find myself in the world and go find out what I was meant to do and what I loved the most, for my passion. And it still took the majority of that decade to figure out what that was. I was learning, of course, of the different jobs in the industry, from travel agent work. But for me personally, planning and booking trips was never my thing. I have, like I mentioned, anxiety, and putting that responsibility in my hands of someone else's
Mhm.
experience was not, it was too much for me. I did have experience doing it, but it wasn't for me. And blogging and becoming an influencer or just having a freelance job, I really believed that there was more to a travel career than bloggings and bookings. And I wanted to find something more authentic for myself. So I eventually stumbled upon my own career and built my businesses off of that. But it did take a really long time for me to figure all that out.
It does. I think that's fair to say with anybody going in the travel industry. I love the unconventional approach that you have. I think that's fabulous, and that's something that I'm aiming at too. Like I do travel writing and travel blogging and the agency, and trying to tie it all together. It takes time to figure that out. A lot of time, and it's not easy, and that's why a lot of people take the route that you had said. You just graduate and just go get a job, just one that's going to pay you well or just pay you to travel. So I applaud your approach to that.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
yeah.
Quite the
Now,
journey.
yes, yes, it is. Now, you are also a published author and speaker, and you've been featured in various media outlets such as Forbes, Business Insider, and Thrive Global, to name a few. So I think it's pretty safe to say that you are an innovative trailblazer. And how does travel, we've talked about this a bit, but how does this fuel the entrepreneurial spirit in you?
How does travel fuel that?
Yeah.
Because there's always exploration for something else. Just like there is traveling, there's always somewhere else to go, somewhere else that makes you feel enriched, another place that you can make a home temporarily for yourself and really feed your sense of discovery. And becoming an entrepreneur is a hard journey, just like taking the leap for backpacking for the very first time to a country I've never been to alone, and figuring out that whole journey myself, with finances and safety and everything. It kind of can mirror my journey as an entrepreneur. I've always been someone who liked to challenge myself, of course. I always say when I return home from a backpacking trip, whether it's for a couple of weeks or up to 6 months, which I did a few times, um, I said, who is that girl? How did she do it? I don't know who that is. And as soon as I pack my bag again and I book that ticket and I get to the airport, I'm back in that same, it's like an avatar of mine. And
Mhm.
it's the same thing with business. It's a learning lesson. I made many mistakes traveling, that's for sure. And the same thing when it comes to finding my own path. And both of my businesses, my travel coach network and my wellness travel coaching and consulting business, are very new niches. I started them about 2.5, 3 years ago, and that was very foreign ideas then. And, as terrible as COVID has been, it has been something that really shot my two businesses to the forefront, because they are so different. And that is just something I encourage people to do, is to really find your own path in life, despite what anyone else says, despite what constructs or industry constructs exist, what your interests are, and really finding your own passion, because you really can make anything out of something that you love so much if you believe enough in it. And sometimes it's only a matter of time until that light is shown. There's so many different stories. I hear Shark Tank is one of my favorite shows. So there's so many times I'm watching Shark Tank, and the people tell their story of they started this business 5-10 years ago, and there were crickets and it was a struggle, and then something happened, maybe a change in a trend or an industry or something, and it showed the value of what they always believed in. So if you believe in something enough, you can really truly make it happen. And so my journey around the world, I knew that I could make it I was going to make it happen. I am an only child from a single mom, and we grew up in a very low income household, and traveling the world seemed so out of reach for someone like myself. I, just like many other people who don't travel too often, I always believed that traveling was something you could do once a year, or that it was super expensive, or, it was just not safe for women to do by themselves. But I made a promise to myself that this is what I was going to do, and I was going to figure out a way. So it's the same thing in my business. There's always just got to keep on going and setting goals for yourself and making it happen. So definitely my two lives kind of mirror each other.
Wow, there's so many things that you said in there that I'd love to expand on. Like, one was you had mentioned home when you were traveling. So sometimes when you travel other places, or do you ask yourself this question, could I ever live here?
Yeah, definitely. There were some places that I was a fast traveler. I wasn't a slow traveler, like many other backpackers I had met who had been kind of in one spot for a month or so. I was a fast traveler, hence 84 countries I've been to, but I had returned many times to some places that I was really well connected to. And those places in particular, they happen to be in Southeast Asia. So Thailand, the Philippines, they really were special places. Bali, I've been 3 times. I just really love everything from the feel, the culture, the place, the scenery, the nature, everything about it. And when I started my business, it wasn't so much that I would live there. It was just that I could see myself just sitting and working for a while in a place. And the same thing with Tel Aviv, Israel. That was one of the more recent ones 2 years ago when I visited there. And I'll be going back there later this year. And that's another place that I just absolutely loved and aligned with everything about it. But in particular, it's a really it's a hub for wellness. Their lifestyle value is really wellness driven, and especially the tech industry driven too. So a lot of people don't know that, but I really loved being there as well.
Yeah, Israel is my ultimate bucket list destination. I want to go there. And you're so right. I think I've been watching a lot of Israel videos and with the Israeli tourism board, and a lot of people have a misconception about Israel, especially like you said, the tech part of it, the wellness industry. It's such a vast country with the history and the food and the lifestyle. Like it's everything. It's everything. Yeah, and it's such a small little piece of land too, right? So
yeah.
Yeah,
I'm definitely drawn back to go. I was going to live there during 2020 and just work, but because I was there previously, and I have some connections with some of the wellness tech companies out there. So I was planning to go and meet with them and do some events out there, but 2020 COVID hit, so I didn't. So it's going on later this year's list, but it's a place that is just drawn to with the spirituality, the beaches, and the people. And like you mentioned, a lot of people don't realize that next to Silicon Valley, Tel Aviv, Israel is a tech hub. It might be more than Silicon Valley based on the population, but it's really thriving, in particular in the wellness tech industry too.
And wellness tech, what is that exactly?
Yeah, there's a lot of industries. Someone that I had recently had a call with is the CEO of a company called WellTech One. They do funding for different wellness tech companies. So if you want to look more into that, you can Google WellTech One. But it's just anything from biotechnology, so in the wellness space, to skincare, it's a wide variety. It's not that type of wellness I specialize in, but it's really interesting to see that what they have done in such a short time in Tel Aviv.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. So your business model also includes a travel coach certification program, and it is the world's only accredited travel coach certification program. How does this help people?
Yeah, so I started the travel coach. It was just a travel coach program before it got accredited. And I started it because when I became a travel coach for wellness travel, I had a lot of people reaching out to me, and this was about 2.5 years ago, asking, "Hey, that sounds interesting. What's a travel coach? How'd you learn about it? Where'd you turn to build your business?" And I've built it myself. I didn't have a place I turned to. So as I was building my business, I was also building a program that helped people along the way. So that ultimately, through a lot of changes and integrations, and then accreditation through the International Coach Federation, which complies with its coaching core competencies and standards, and also builds in the business aspect of having a business in general online, in addition to the travel aspect and travel coaching aspect. So it's a really well-rounded program. So it was quite the process to get it accredited, but essentially it helps just people figure out what their niche is, what's their expertise in the travel industry, what is it you want to do, who do you want to help? Do you want to help individuals up to a corporate level? Do you want to do speaking? Do you want to write? What is it that you want to do? Because I want people to exercise and think outside of the box of their creativity and innovation with their personal travel experiences, because we can create so many different things and be whatever we want in the industry, but it's up to you to pave your own path and figure out what that is. You'll see now everything from wellness leader titles in organizations. You'll see travel concierge who are kind of mixing different aspects of what they do. There's such an evolution in titles in the industry. It's finding out what it is that you want to do. So it helps with that, and just helps from the very beginning to point A to point Z. And then I do additional trainings in there as well. So I bring in current industry topics we discuss. I do trainings on how to get into media and publicity, like I have to share your story and your message. I cover everything that I do in my business. So it's a really generous program. Something that I built what I wish I had from the beginning is what it is. Something that would have expedited my process, but I'm glad that I had the journey that I did so that I could have created this for everyone.
So you have to go through that journey to find those problems and those challenges, I think, too, right?
Yeah.
So are there specific people that you market to for this program, or specific people that it attracts that it would help?
It has a wide range. So some people in the program are travel agents, or they come from a travel agent background and they didn't want to do the team building anymore, or they were just really struggling to figure out how they can attract the right clients or in a more authentic way versus just learning different niches. I have travel writers in there. I have life coaches, transformation coaches, health coaches who want to add that the travel aspect to their coaching. I have people who were just travelers learning to figure out what it is starting from scratch they want to do. I have just backpackers that are still hopping around the globe. There's really a wide range. I have people who left the corporate world who are trying to find something else. Maybe they were travel managers or booking managers for TMCs, and they wanted to find something different and build a business of their own versus working for someone else. Yeah, it's such a wide range, and it's been really interesting seeing the different types of people that it has attracted during 2020, because 2020 gave us all time to think. It gave us time to self-educate, and a lot of people were reevaluating what their purpose and passions were, especially if they were in the travel industry or they worked for a travel company. Like, am I really aligned with what I was doing or who I was working for, or do I want to do something of my own? I also have retreat owners in there, a wide range of people. It's really interesting. I learned from others just as much as they learned from me in there.
Yeah, exactly. Well, Sahara Rose, this has been very wonderful talking with you today. If people want to find out more about you and the Travel Coach Network and your initiatives, where's the best place to find you?
Yeah, you can always visit the travelcoachnetwork.com. You can find me on Instagram and Facebook at the Travel Coach Network, or Sahara Rose the Travel Coach, or you can always email me at sahararose.travels@gmail.com.
Well, I'm sure I'll be talking with you more in the future because I think your program sounds fantastic. So enjoy your day today, and thanks again for your time.
Of course. Thank you so much, Charlotte. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. Have a great day.
Likewise. Take care.
Bye.